Hello, good evening, and welcome to Business on Joy News Prime with me, Beverly Broohm. We take a look at our first story. An economist, Professor Godfrey Bookpin, has taken a swipe at the Bank of Ghana for publishing what he believes is unreliable data on the country's international reserves. He argues that the central bank is on record providing conflicting data contrary to what the IMF and the World Bank publish. His comment is coming at a time the IMF is warning Ghana's international reserve is almost empty, contrary to what the Bank of Ghana had published in its 2023 economic and financial data on international reserves. Here's Professor Godfrey Bookpin reacting to the development.
To what extent can we rely on the data that comes out from government sources? The other bit is to look at Bank of Ghana's own official exchange rate. You can't refer to that rate as a transaction rate because dollar is not clearing at that particular rate. Okay, so when we do all these things, we're actually not helping the market because one important function of the market is price discovery. Of course, we know that when it comes to international reserves, it's not the first time. In fact, in 2014, the central bank had a dispute with the international community as well, including the IMF, because in 2014, our reserves on net basis could only cover 2 weeks of import, only 2 weeks. Meanwhile, that time, Bank of Ghana had data that suggests that we could do more than 1 month. You can check the data, and the explanation then, and I believe it will not vary now, is that probably they are looking at reserves on gross basis where they also include the heritage fund and all of that, and probably the fund may be looking at reserves on net basis, and also in terms of the denominator they are looking at both import of goods and services, and one will only talk about import of goods and all of that, but that's not the only thing. Do you remember that somewhere last year, I think middle of last year, there was the issue of Bank of Ghana monetizing the deficit and printing and sustaining the government? The central bank denied that. But what do we see today? If you check the latest figures, right, you will see that Bank of Ghana's overdraft facility to government, everything put together, is over 77 billion cedis. So probably in a little over a year, the Bank of Ghana has given Ghana government more money than we could get from the IMF over a 3-year period.
Now, banks in the country have begun releasing their 2022 financial statements ahead of the April 30th deadline by the Bank of Ghana. But the domestic debt exchange program has impacted negatively on their profitability position. The following Business Desk report has more.
According to the audited financial statements cited by Joy Business, almost all the banks that have published their statements recorded losses. Standard Chartered Bank is one of them, as it recorded a loss of 66.4 million cedis. This is despite a staggering 807.7 million cedi interest income recorded in 2022. The Tier 1 Bank, however, recorded a bad debt of 1.18 billion cedis last year. Similarly, Republic Bank registered a loss of 66.8 million cedis. It posted a net interest income of 370.6 million cedis, but a 237 million loss on financial assets and other costs triggered a negative position. Parent companies of First National Bank, Stanbic, Zenith, and Guarantee Trust Bank have already hinted of significant losses by their Ghana subsidiaries due to the impact of the domestic debt exchange program on the operations. Many investors should therefore not expect dividend payment for this year. Meanwhile, Societe Generale Bank is one of the few banks that recorded a profit in 2022. The bank, which was less exposed to the government of Ghana bonds, registered a profit of 110.6 million cedis. Joy Business had earlier reported that banks in Ghana lost about 15 billion cedis in 2023 due to the debt exchange program.
Meanwhile, senior finance lecturer Dr. Benjamin Amor has urged banks to diversify their portfolios following the decline in their profitability amid the domestic debt exchange program.
Considering the fact that we have the Financial Stability Fund that is available to provide liquidity, and again, to think about the fact that the central bank has made it clear that we are going to have some 3-4 years for banks to prop up their capital. Clearly, it is a path that still brings in enough confidence in the banking sector space. So we should continue to do business with the banks, but just that our banks will have to be more stronger going for in terms of their capital to be able to support. And this time around, it is all clear that the government that we do business with, the government can fail. So the banks will have to think of how best can we diversify our portfolios so we don't overly expose ourselves to the government going forward. It is not, after all, bad doing business with the private sector from the experience that we are seeing from doing business with the government, sorry. We'll always be constrained by the fact that there's a government available that can give you good money and good returns. Nobody is saying that banks should not continue doing business with the Treasury. The banks will still have to do business with the Treasury, i.e. the Ministry of Finance. But the banks, from this experience, the banks will have to think about other strategies to rake in more income. Look, the private sector has been complaining about lack of loans, enough loans to do business. I think this is an opportunity for the banks to rethink and to do business with the private sector in terms of loan extension so that we can prop up the economy, because already the economy is at a low level. So to turn it around, the private sector should be given another look by these banks.
Well, moving on, Ghana has been praised for its rapid development in digital trade and friendly environment for women entrepreneurs. According to the Director General of the World Trade Organization, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, the country has made significant progress in ensuring that businesses thrive through digital channels. The following report has more.
The World Trade Organization has acknowledged the easy movement of goods through supply chain management and the drive for digital trading among member nations. According to the Director General, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, the WTO is working on many regulations to accommodate the new trend for fair business competition. She applauded Ghana for the successes in making digital trade thrive. Speaking on the importance of the Continental Free Trade Agreement, she urged government and business community to focus on value addition to gain more from their exportable products.
There are some other exciting areas of work at the WTO that I just want to touch on. I'm very happy that today we'll be meeting small and medium enterprises, especially women who are engaged in digital trade. One of the most exciting happenings in the world today is the rise of digital trade. Digitally delivered services are growing fastest. And in Ghana, it's doing quite well from the numbers that we can see. So this is an area I want to encourage Ghana very much. Digitally delivered and traded services in Ghana are doing well, whether it's, professional services from business outsourcing, trading, intellectual services, and back office functions with others, or digital trade of women. There are many women I can see, and also men, who are trading here on the internet, and that is growing very, very fast. We are trying to develop rules at the WTO that will guarantee fairness and predictability for such trade.
The Minister for Trade and Industry, Kobna Tahir Hammond, wants the restoration of a fully functional two-tier dispute settlement mechanism at the WTO. He believes that this will enhance transparency in international trade.
And hence the rules-based for world trade to develop. But I have been concerned to learn that you have no proper adjudication system because somehow the appellate system is collapsed. You only have the first tier tribunal. We cannot have a system of this magnitude when we don't have a forum where arbitration of disputes, which inevitably would arise to be resolved. I'm told that you tried very much to get this matter resurrected. So our hope is that by the time of the 13th Ministerial Conference meeting, if we have been able to do the condition precedent, we will be able to come over and make sure that these matters are properly articulated. But I'm told that because the appellate one is collapsed, the The first one is completely dysfunctional and nothing at all is taking place.
This is the maiden African tour of the WTO Director General since she was appointed to the position 2 years ago. The visit is also used to lobby Ghana to ratify some of the ongoing new regulations on international trade at the upcoming 13th Ministerial Conference in Abu Dhabi next year.
The chief executive of the Ghana Shippers Authority, Benonita Bismarck, has indicated that the high cost of transporting goods is negatively affecting the competitiveness of businesses in the country. At the opening of a union of the Africa Shippers Council on Trade and Transit, she mentioned that the high cost of transporting goods is impacting businesses, leading to high cost of doing business in the country.
Ghana Shippers Authority created the Union of Africa Shippers to deliberate on ways to reduce the cost of transporting goods. The council consists of 19 countries from West and Central Africa. Speaking in an interview, Chief Executive of the Ghana Shippers Authority, Benonita Bismarck, said the high cost of transportation is limiting the full potential of businesses.
The critical role played by international trade and economic development is well known by all of us, particularly as a driver of economic growth and prosperity for the people of our dear continent. However, the transportation cost in the shipment of this international cargo in Africa has become prohibitive and forms a significant proportion of the cost of imports and exports. This development impacts negatively on the competitiveness of African businesses on the global market scene. The World Bank estimates the transport cost in sub-Saharan Africa averages 50% higher than other regions in the world, forming a significant proportion of the overall cost of goods. The high transport costs in Africa stems from inefficient supply chains, poor transport infrastructure and networks, lack of economies of scale, and inadequate regulatory frameworks, among others. Unfortunately, it is our shippers who have to bear the brunt of these challenges. The multiplier effect is the consistent rise in the general prices of goods and services and its attendant adverse effects of stagnated economic growth.
Head of Research, Monitoring and Evaluation at the Ghana Shippers Authority, Emmanuel Baku, added that the council will come up with recommendations to address challenges associated with transporting goods in Africa.
It has been about 3 years since the world was hit with the COVID pandemic, and the global economy and the international maritime transport are still recovering from its devastating impact. Global supply chains were hardest hit, with freight rates going through the roof. The post-COVID pandemic recovery has been very slow, and as we speak, we are still not at the pre-pandemic levels yet. Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, that is why I believe that the call to action initiated by the UAC through the work of the Committee of Experts who consolidate the efforts of countries within West and Central Africa to bring about cost effectiveness, improved service delivery, transparency, and efficiency in the shipping sector, thereby making our ports and our shippers more competitive.
Let's do some more stories now. And the Ghana Institute of Procurement and Supply has inducted new members and fellows into the institution. Guest speaker at the ceremony, Dr. Eric Oduro-Osai, called for the passage of the procurement bill. This, he believes, will protect the public purse and save the country from monies lost through procurement infractions. The following report has more.
The Ghana Institute of Procurement and Supply is the governing body of procurement professionals in Ghana. The association held an induction ceremony to usher in over 100 new members, 9 fellows, 2 honorary fellows, and 1 distinguished fellow. Speaking at the ceremony, Director General of the Internal Audit Agency, Dr. Eric Oduro-Osai, said the passage of the procurement bill could save the country monies lost through procurement infractions.
Out of over 8.6 billion Ghana cedis infractions identified by the Auditor General in his 2021 audit report on the performance of 6 major sectors of the Ghanaian economy, over 600 million cedis, representing 3.24%, arose out of avoidable procurement, stores, and contract irregularities. If we were to have professionals, and this, I am not saying we don't have professionals, but I'm talking about regulation. If we were to have an institute established by an act of parliament, regulating professionals, providing guidance, helping them to provide the needed on-the-spot advisory services, we could have saved 600 million cedis.
The president of the Ghana Institute of Procurement and Supply, Simon Annan, called on procurement professionals to ensure the highest ethical standards and pledged the institute's commitment to sanitize the industry.
The people who are practicing procurement as we speak now don't have any backing, any legal backing. I mean, if you go into an organization and you realize that the accountants are there because they have a legal backing, and any accountant who flout the code of ethics within the space is dealt with. Now, in terms of procurement, there is a procurement act which has sanctions, but the point beyond that, how do we manage the professionals who are practicing procurement to be able to do it well? And we think that the bill is there to ensure that procurement is done properly, and our people conform to the ethical standard of the institute.
Celestine Jani, the executive secretary of the institute, called for deepened collaborations with government and other relevant institutions to guarantee growth of the procurement industry.
So it's very important that we champion and come to support the GIPS, the Ghana Institute of Procurement and Supply. At this point, government should come and support us. We are asking all stakeholders, relevant stakeholders. You see a lot of partnerships going on, because what we are seeking to do, our mission really is to build an institute that's strong enough to champion ethical procurement.
Some of the honorary and distinguished fellows include former Minister of Education, Professor Ameyao Ekumfi, Professor Douglas Boateng, and Colonel Joshua Agbotui.
Now, the Ghana Export and Import Bank says it will provide financial support to SMEs in the handicraft subsector to meet international standards. This, according to the bank, will aid in the purchasing of raw materials and molding equipment that will drive the expansion of the operations. Speaking to Joy Business at a consultative forum, Head of Export Trade Judith Aiken says this is key in creation of jobs.
The craft subsector is an important part of Ghana's economy and cultural heritage. It contributes to employment creation, poverty reduction, and the promotion of Ghana's rich cultural heritage. The handicraft subsector generates foreign exchange earnings for Ghana through exports. Speaking to Joy Business, Head of Export Trade at the Ghana Exim Bank, Judith Aiken said, supporting the sector will provide income for artisans and small businesses, which will contribute to the growth of the local economy.
The handicraft sector has been more like rejected for so long, and so as a bank, as a development bank, Ghana Exim Bank, thought it wise to call them, gather them together, listen to their challenges, and then offer solutions to them. We have products that we thought that we could give them that could support their needs. Products like the export trade facility, products like receivable discounting, products like the provisional guarantee. And so we call them here to have a stakeholder meeting and to meet their needs of their export market. So that's why we're here, basically. It's a sector that we need to zone in on and we need to grow. And so as a bank, we are poised and ready to support them in that regard.
The global handicraft market value for 2022 was $704.7 billion, and the market value is expected to reach $1 billion by 2028. However, Ghana has not positioned itself well enough to tap into this huge market. According to the Deputy Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Exim Bank, Rosemary Acha, her outfit will boost investment in the handicraft sector to help Ghana achieve the non-traditional export targets in 2029.
Per Act 911, we are supposed to support the Ghanaian exporter directly and indirectly to be competitive in the international marketplace. As an institution which is primarily tasked to support export, we want to provide the following. financing for these handicraft businesses. We want to provide capacity building, and then partner with the Ghana Export Promotion Authority to provide market access. I'm sure you were all here. You heard the first-hand information from these handicraft exporters and producers in Ghana, how they intend to solicit our help to provide this market access. So that is what we are positioned to do, and we are committed to it to ensure that these three areas are met by us as a bank to these exporters and producers of handicraft.
The Stakeholder Consultative Forum was under the theme Facilitating International Trade, the Role of Ghana Exim Bank in the Handicraft Export Sector.
Now, some players within Ghana's lottery industry are calling for a more aggressive sanitization push by the regulator to boost the growth of the lottery. According to General Manager for Fortune Synergy Company Limited, Albert Osei, a 3-year local players should leverage the growing popularity of online lottery to ensure market growth. Speaking to Joy Business at the launch of its new product called the Mega Fortune, he said the utilization of cutting-edge technologies by the sector will aid in the fight against unemployment.
The growing popularity of online lottery is one of the major drivers propelling market expansion in the lottery sector. The expansion of cell phones and the internet is responsible for the rise in popularity of online lotteries. Speaking to Joy Business, General Manager for Fortune Synergy Company Limited, Albert Osei Efriye, said the use of blockchain technology in lottery systems aims to remove middlemen from the lottery process and make the current lottery system transparent by employing a ring signature mechanism that allows players to make fair decisions.
Digital in our space here in Ghana is not well known. So we bringing this to the Ghanaian community. We encourage Ghanaians to put their trust in the digital system. It brings a lot of convenience. People gone in the days will have to walk all the way through the kiosk, through rain, the sun, all the external factors just to take a lottery stake. But we bring you fully digitalized system. You stake in your house, you win in your house, we pay you in your house. Anywhere and everywhere you are, we pay to you. So we want you to trust the system. Fully Ghanaian, fully digitalized.
One change in the lottery industry that is expected to have a positive impact on the market in the coming years is the adoption of technologies by lottery operators. Mega Fortune is an indigenous lottery business run by Fortune Synergy and is poised towards making an impact in the lottery industry in Ghana.
And that's all for business tonight. Thank you so much for your company here. For more business news, you can log on to myjoyonline.com/business. I'm Beverly Broohm. Razak Musbao is next with sports.